Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. It's Kyrie, the Hood Mystic, here with another episode of Occult Metaphysics 101. Now, in my previous video, we talked about the mind, which is the basis for what we're going to be talking today. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that video out. But today we're going to be talking about consciousness. And consciousness is just the awareness of the mind. When you look up the etymology of consciousness, it'll show you that consciousness means awareness. Most people confuse consciousness in the mind and use them just interchangeably. But these are two separate things. In reference to your mind, just imagine you are looking down at yourself. That is the awareness of you. Now, take that same analogy and think about your mind. Your mind is a living, breathing, thinking organism, and many people don't have the wherewithal to be aware of their mind. What they're aware of is the external world, but the awareness of the external world is just a small part of the game. When we talk about real and true awareness, it's about the external and the internal, but we'll get back to that. I want to talk about something that is very important, which is called symbolism. And when we talk about Kundalini and we talk about chakras, a lot of people just write it off as just mumbo jumbo, new age talk. But if you were to ever take a gander at the King James Bible and read Revelation chapter 12, you will find something very interesting in the space of symbolism. And I want you to ask yourself something. Is the Bible talking about literal things or are they utilizing symbolism? And symbolism is just something that is used to represent ideas. And what idea is the Bible trying to convey? The Bible is trying to convey the idea of you to be conscious and aware of your mind. Every time you read the Bible, Quran, Torah, any spiritual book, if you, the individual, take time to read these books, they're not talking about a woman or a dragon or a serpent. They're talking about you, and the way that they talk about you is through symbolism. And there are people who study the Bible as a profession that don't understand the simple symbolism. They're out here actually looking for a dragon, which is stated in Revelation 12. So let's get into the symbolism of Revelation 12 and reference it to consciousness and awareness. So the basic premise of chapter 12 in Revelation is about a woman. But if you watch my previous video about the mind, we know that feminine just represents the internal. It's not talking about an actual woman, is utilizing symbolism to bring home a point. The Bible doesn't care about a woman or a man or a god or a deity or an angel or a demon. It only cares about you. Okay? If any conscious spiritual person is not directing the energy back to you, they are scamming you. Because in reference to spirituality, we must be pragmatic. We must be direct. We must be realistic on what this actually means. If most spiritual people, they are rhetorical, meaning that they will say things that sound good, but when you try to get them to explain it, they can't explain it. So this is what we're doing in this video. We're explaining ancient mysteries. So please put on your thinking caps. The woman in Revelation chapter 12 is representing heaven or the spiritual world. When we talk about heaven, we're talking about something that we can access right now. You don't have to transition. You can get to heaven right now through what? Stillness. But we'll get back to that. So in Revelation chapter 12, it is a woman and a dragon. They're face to face and they are about to have a baby. As weird or interesting as you would like to believe, but in Revelation chapter 12, it starts to talk about how this dragon or this serpent or this devil or this Satan was cast out of heaven. Now, once again, if you're taking this literal, you're looking up at the sky, waiting for a serpent to be cast out to heaven. Now, if you want to use common sense, you know that that is impossible. That's not even something that is even fathomable. So therefore, it has to be symbolism, and it have to be very succinct symbolism, because when we reference the dragon, when we reference the serpent, in all other ancient texts, the dragon and the serpent is simply kundalini at the base of your spine that stays dormant. So when God casts Lucifer, the devil, or whatever you call, out of heaven, is really just talking about your chakras. And then when you read chapter 12, they say that this dragon, and read the text for yourself, I'll show it on the screen. They say that this dragon has 7 crowned heads, right? And 10 horns. So if you hear those numbers, you might be thinking just 7 heads, 10 horns, just random numbers. But understand, we're talking about ancient wisdom and ancient symbolism. So the number 10, whenever you hear the number 10, is talking about the Kabbalah and the tree of life. Why? Because the tree of life has 10 sephiroths. Whenever you hear the number 7, you're talking about your 7 chakras. And when you understand this, in the Bible, it tells you that the dragon, which is you, has 7 heads and 10 horns. It is very specific. It is not being, we're talking about this, or is it talking about that? It is talking about one thing. It is talking about you, and it's talking about the spiritual version of you. It's talking about awakening kundalini at the base of your spine through breath work. Very simple stuff, but if we are looking at the Bible literally, we won't even understand the message. So if we are, once again, reading the Bible, understanding that it is talking about you, then what is that? That is consciousness. That is the awareness that there is more to you than what meets the eye. And the reason that it is talking about the mind and nothing else, because in every human being on the earth, this is the only thing that we all have in common. Some of us are tall, some of us are short, some of us are black, some of us are white, some of us are fat, some of us are skinny, but we all have a mind. So why would God talk about anything other than the mind? Why would God want you to be anything else but aware of your mind and aware of itself? See, the problem with awareness is that we feel that awareness is a default mechanism in reference to the external world. But in the Bible, they describe that as hell. They describe that as flesh. And when your mind is dealing with flesh, it is in conflict. Anybody that looks at the world as purely external is in constant conflict with the divine feminine, because the external, it gives you one, the illusion, and it makes you act. So when you act on illusion, that means you have false beliefs. And when you are in the space of false belief, you don't know left from right. So if you're any type of person that is looking for answers, you're going to look for the same place that is giving you illusions for answers. This is why in the Bible, chapter 12, verse 1, it says that this woman, she stood on top of the sun and the moon. She knew everything about the external world, but that wasn't enough. She still had to deal with the dragon. She still had to deal with the kundalini, because no matter what happens on this side of the game, it does not relate to this side. This is what consciousness is. This is what awareness is. And you do not become conscious, you do not become aware until you are still. So, in reference to spiritual commercialism, where people just tell you what you want to hear and you buy into it, it's still illusion. It's still hell. This is why your spiritual practices don't get you anywhere, because they exist on the external. You have to be so mentally strong to go deep within yourself, because if you had a life where you've had heartbreak, you've had misfortune, you suffered through grief, death, loss, then all you can think of, woe is me. Everything in this is depression, sadness, you name it. It's all in the realm of illusion. But if we ever want to deal with heaven, we have to take that same mind and redirect it to a whole nother energy. And this is why it's so important to do breath work, to do stillness work, to do meditation work, and to work with the Sephiroth of the tree of life and understand that these chakras are states of consciousness. And your state of consciousness to start off is external. But as you raise your states of consciousness through your chakras, you become whole. You become one. Because this theory, this mathematical equation is very simple. 0 equals 2. One mind or no mind, since you can't see the mind or fathom the mind is nothing. So therefore, it creates a dualistic viewpoint. The problem with this dualistic viewpoint is that people only focus on what they can see. They never take those eyes and move it inward. When you decide to take your eyes and move it inward, then you are conscious of the mind. You are conscious of the whole thing. You're not afraid of doing your chakra work because it's not mumbo jumbo. It's actually real. It's something that is for everybody. Everybody has chakras. Everybody has kundalini that lies dormant at the base of their spine. If you do not do the meditation work, if you don't do the stillness work, if you don't calm down, you'll never get it. If you're trying to live in this world by acting, you're acting on an illusion. And the sad part about it is that you'll never get it and you'll never understand. Now, everybody has questions. You have questions. I have questions. My mama got questions. Your daddy got questions. We all have questions. Where is the place that we all can go to for those answers? The only place we can go to is the mind. The only place that we can go to is source. It says in Luke chapter 17, verse 21, the kingdom of heaven is within you. If you don't understand and overstand that, you'll never get it. And I mean that. So it might seem like you never heard a spiritualist talk this way, but the reason I'm talking this way is because too many people have bullshitted you through just giving you what you want to hear and not giving you the sacred science. So utilize my books, utilize my YouTube channel as a resource to get you back connected to you. Be aware of you. Understand there's more to you than meets the eye.